Good morning, travelers and explorers. So, today we are going for a trip to explore an unknown and an unseen place up there in the mighty Himalayas. So, are you all ready? Let's start with our packing. I think we'll need proper shoes, clothes, medicines, food, and what else? I think, of course, we need a map. Because without map, we won't be able to reach that unknown place. So we would be lost. So maps are very important. You might have seen your parents, switching on the GPS whenever you go out for a trip. Maps have become an indispensable part of our traveling these days. You know that traveling to unexplored and untouched destinations is in vogue these days. You might have watched many traveling blogs where the people, they use maps as guides to explore those unknown places. So, our today's lesson, which we're going to take up, is a poem which is based on maps. I think you might have understood by now because I've been talking about maps since long. So, it is written by Dorothy Brown Thompson. Now, Dorothy Brown, she was an American writer, and in this poem, she pays a tribute to maps. Actually, like different kinds of maps that hold. She tells us about different kinds of maps that hold a key to an unknown and an unseen world of adventure waiting to be explored. She paints a bright picture of different things and scenes uh, that maps can bring to our minds. So, this way, she shows how something that looks so simple and so humble, like a map, can be imaginatively exciting. So, children, let us begin with the poem. As I always tell you, people, when you start watching this video, you must have your book with you. And I always begin the poem lessons by reading of the poem because we feel, the beauty of the poem must be enjoyed first up before we, start the explanation of the poem line by line. So first we'll read it, and it's a very short poem and a very, very cute poem. So, Maps by Dorothy Brown Thompson. High adventure and bright dream. Maps are mightier than they seem. Ships that follow leaning stars, red and gold of strange bazaars. Ice floes hid beyond all knowing. Plains that ride where winds are blowing. Train maps, maps of wind and weather, road maps taken all together. Maps are really magic wands for home staying vagabonds. So, isn't wasn't it a nice poem, a very simple one? So, let us begin the explanation of the poem. Now, I'll take up the first paragraph. So, you all look at the first paragraph first. It goes like this: High adventure and bright dream. Maps are mightier than they seem. So, in this paragraph, the poet says that maps reminds us of great adventures and bright dreams, which we might have gone through while traveling with the maps, or we anticipate of when we look at the maps. So, maps, they bring to our mind all kinds of adventures and beautiful dreams. When we look at the map, we dream of going to those places, or we dream of all the places which we might have already gone to. So, the maps uh, this simple piece of paper is much more powerful than it seems. The last two lines, maps are mightier than they seem. So they don't look so powerful, they don't seem so powerful, but they are actually very much more powerful than they look, because they have the capacity of taking our mind, our imagination to great adventures and dreams. So they are very powerful. Now we come on to the second paragraph, ships that follow leaning stars, red and gold of strange bazaars. So there was a time, children, when ships used to follow the stars to reach strange places, and they did not have any kinds of maps, so that they could reach a particular place. So that time they used to follow the stars to reach a particular place, or to reach a strange and unknown place. And merchants during those times who used to travel on in those ships, they used to go and do trade in these strange bazaars. They used to do all kind of trading of red and gold. Now red word can be used for the fabrics, kind of different kinds of fabrics, and gold, jewel, the metal. So the merchants during these times traveling in those ships, they were dependent on the stars, because they did not have any kind of maps like we have today. So we move on to this third paragraph. Ice floes hid beyond all knowing, plains that ride where winds are blowing. So talking about the same time in the olden times, when the sailors, they had no knowledge of hidden ice masses in the sea, which sometimes used to lead to accidents, like the famous accident of Titanic. It had occurred because the ship got stuck with a iceberg. So planes, those at that time, now the planes which fly, they've got proper maps to fly in air, but those times, they had no maps. So they had no maps to follow, say, in the air, and they used to ride with the direction of the wind. So such unknown was the traveling. We can say it was like it was all dependent upon nature. But nowadays things are very, very different. We have every kinds of map, and the next paragraph talks about this only. So the poet tells us that now we have every kind of map available. There are maps for trains, maps of wind and weather, road maps also taken all together. So we have maps for everything. Now we come on to the last and the most beautiful paragraph, which tells us rather the importance of the maps. So the poets in the end says that maps are really magic wand. Now children, what is a magic wand? Jadoo ki chhadi, we've heard about Jadoo ki chhadi, which the fairies hold. So maps, the poet calls the maps as a magic wand. How is it a magic wand? Because come to the next line first. For home staying vagabonds. For home staying is very clear, the people who stay at home, and vagabonds means people who are always wandering from one place to another. So for those people who love going to places, but for some reason or the other they have to stay at home. So for those kind of peoples, maps are like magic wands, because whenever they look at the maps, they are reminded of all the times where they have been to those places, and they are reminded of all the adventures and the bright dreams which the maps which they might have lived, because with the help of those maps. So maps are like magic wands for all the people who love traveling, but for one reason or the other they have to stay at home. So this poem reminds you of your geography class, where you people make maps. No, next time when you have a geography class, when you'll hold a map in your hand, I think you'll be reminded of this poem, and you'll treat your maps a little more, with respect, because when you look at the map, you'll be and suppose if you're making the map of India, and if you look at the state of Jammu and Kashmir, so you'll be reminded of all the wonderful trips which you might have made to Jammu and Kashmir. Or if you look at the state of Maharashtra, so you might be reminded of the beautiful trip or the journey which you might have undergone going to Bombay or visiting Goa. So maps are beautiful, and they are adventurous, and of course they are mighty. So with this note, I finish today's class. I hope you loved the poem. So do read the poem once again, do listen to the video once again. I think the poem will be fully prepared. Bye for now. Thank you and have a nice day.